Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all of the praises to the Most High and His Son,
Yahawah,
Hasham,
Yahawashi,
Hasham, and we're doing a Thursday camp. The Spirit is on us to come out here and once again do as we usually do, man. Further this ministry in the name of Yahawah, Hasham, Yahawashi, Barakatah, Yahawah, Yahawashi, and Yahawah, Yahawashi, Barakatah to the Akim out there. Let's further this ministry and those that are learning and listening and growing thereby as well, and supporting the ministry as well. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to get started, and we're going to read Revelations 13, verse 11.
Okay, this is Revelations 13 and 11. And beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 10 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Right, and he spake as a dragon. So he had two horns as a lamb. In other words, referring to those parties in the states. You have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. But the reason why I wanted to have the brother read the scripture, because they're coming as a lamb, but in due time they're going to show their true self as the dragon, blackmailing people. Because at one time, people were saying in the media, these politicians were saying in the media that a lot of people are dying because of this vaccine, and because of this virus and all of the above, and they're so concerned and worried about people getting vaccinated. And now it's more like, if you don't have the jab, then you don't work. And I have the article here in saying that. And there was a woman that have actually lost her job because she didn't want to get vaccinated. So you have all of these different things that are going on, and people are getting affected by it. They're losing their job because certain people refuse to get vaccinated, so to speak. So at first they come to you as a lamb. They speak well and soothing words to try to get you on their program, just like Antiochus the Epiphanes did. So let's read this.
Daniel 8 and verse 25. And through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart.
Yeah.
And by peace shall destroy many.
Right, and by peace shall he destroy many. Setting up these policies, writing these executive orders, without the awareness of the American people. Like this individual now, such as Joe Biden, he's in office. Trump has gone out of the way. Trump was taking too long with what the agenda was supposed to be. And Biden is moving forward with this agenda. Because every prime minister and president has an agenda. They're being told what to do by higher powers. Some say shadow government or that kind of sort of thing, but they're really being told what to do by these powers that we don't recognize, that we don't know. Okay? And they're bringing forth their policies, and the policy now is really what's going to be forward into law, which actually will be made into law by these companies. These companies are going to give the go-ahead for the people to actually get the vaccination. And it's funny because I've been thinking about this even months prior, because the president or the prime minister, they don't have to make it mandatory for the people to get the vaccination. All they got to do is tell these companies to do that. And people have to do it because people obviously work for these corporations, these companies. So that's another way they can do it, and that's how they're doing it right now. And I'm going to get into the article later on. So anyway, let's read what we got, brother.
Daniel 8 and 25 again.
Yeah.
And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Yeah.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart.
Right.
And by peace shall destroy many.
Yeah. So this is the thing. They want to begin to set forth these agendas, as we've always been speaking about for the time being, about what the ultimate goal is and all of the above, and they're moving towards that goal. The ultimate goal, which is setting up the one world system and putting people in being under this technological system that they got set up already, by merging it with the microchip. Okay, and that's in the book of Revelations 13, 15, and 16. That's the ultimate.
So I might add something.
Go on, brother.
In terms of forcing people to get the vaccination as well, he's also doing it through travel, because a lot of these airlines are saying that in order for them to be able to run, they need to have a surety that they're safe.
Right.
So therefore, they're going to make it so if you want to travel on their airlines, you have to get vaccinated and prove that you've got vaccinated before you even travel. travel.
Yeah.
So it's all tied together.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes with the health passports, or the vaccine passports. So once you have that passport, then you can go about and doing everything that you want to do, including travel. All right, and not just traveling and going from one country to another country, but just traveling, going outside even to the store or going out to the park. So they want to make sure that everybody is vaccinated, basically. And once they can come with the vaccination, then they can get you with the tech side of things. Anyway, let's read this. Let's read what you got again, brother.
Revelations 13 and 11. And beheld another beast coming up out of the earth.
Yeah.
And he had 2 horns like a lamb.
Yeah.
And he spake as a dragon.
But he spake as a dragon. So the dragon is going to come out. These Edomites at the very top, they're going to show themselves to be dragon-like, cruel, with these draconian laws, blackmailing people to do A, B, and C. And if they don't do it, then there's going to be these repercussions. So they're gradually getting down to who they really are, such as being dragon-like. Okay? Go on, brother.
Verse 12, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him.
Yeah, that's going into something else, but we can go and get Revelations 13, verse 15.
Revelations 13 and 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast.
Yeah.
And that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
And what is the beast? The beast is talking about the system, this Roman Empire that we're under right now, the last leg of the Roman Empire. That's what the beast is talking about. And basically, just like how it always was, and as long as Esau remains to be in power, it will remain to be as such, getting these nations to acknowledge their power. Okay? And if they don't acknowledge their power, as they did in the past, they drop drones or they drop bombs on these countries and decimated these countries to strike fear in these other countries. So by that being the case, that's how Esau was able to rule with the sword. Okay? Not literal, but just having the blessing or the ability to do such a thing, to use weapons of destruction to pretty much steer the people in the right direction and being subservient to them. All right? So they're going to use the same sort of thing against the people, and then eventually, if people don't do what they're told, they're going to be taken out of there. You know. So that's what they're doing now. But it's all gradual. It's a gradual thing. What they're saying now is, if you don't have, well, in the future, if you don't have the passport, then you can't do what you want to do. You can't travel. You can't go outside. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where they're going to put you in a certain facility, or it could be a concentration camp, or they just keep you in the house arrest, so to speak. So they could do that. You know, go on, brother.
Revelations 15 and 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand.
Yeah, and that's how they're going to do it, by scaring you. If you don't do this, then you can't go to the shop, meaning you can't eat. And people want to eat. People are afraid of the idea that they cannot get access to food. So people are going to do their thing, even though a lot of people don't really want to get vaccinated, but based on that, because the powers that be in this country, hey, they know that there's certain people that don't want to get down with the program. So what they're going to do is they're going to push people, and they're going to sway people against the corner, put their backs against the wall. And some people are going to react, and then some people are going to give in and falter. Okay? That's how this beast is going to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor. Go on, brother.
This is 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3.
Or should I say one of the ways? Go on, brother.
It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Exactly, yeah. Because people, they're going to say, well, the reason why the people have got the vaccine, the vaccination, and now we can open things up and everything's normal now, and you know, you've been vaccinated yourself, so I mean, everything's peaceful. But then that's when the sudden destruction is going to come forward. That's when other things are going to come forward, especially when they make it mandatory for you to get the vaccine and also the microchip, and people doing that. So what's going to come after that? The nuclear destruction. Because the prophecies have already came to pass concerning bringing the end time prophecies. And what I mean by the end time prophecies, I'm talking about the coming of the Lord, and also the nuclear missiles being pretty much shot up and hitting certain areas around the world. All right? So that's when the sudden destruction cometh, when they say peace and safety. When everybody's got themselves vaccinated and they got themselves stripped or whatever, and everything's normal now. Go on, brother.
Shall I go into Daniel 12, verse 5 and 12?
Yeah, you could get that, yeah.
Right, this is Daniel chapter 5 and verse 12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty.
Yeah, you mean Job 5 and 12. That's what I wanted.
Job 5 and 12, yeah. It says, he
What you can
disappointeth...
do, brother, you can get Job 14 verse 3, I believe it is. Go on, bro.
Alright, Daniel 5... I said again. Job 5 and 12.
Yeah.
He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
Yeah, because the goal is, it's like we've always been saying, is the whole intent is for them to be gods, man. They want to be gods. They want to be the ones to be acknowledged. They want all of the power unto themselves. So the way that they're going to do it, they're going to use a technique to cause people to pretty much correspond with what's going on, with what they want to push, with their agenda. And that's to ultimately get people under this technological side of things. Getting you vaccinated and then getting you microchipped if necessary. Which we believe it to be the MOB according to the Bible, the mark of the beast. Okay? But once they get to that level, they can't go for another millisecond, because the time is already set that they're gonna rule for a particular point in time, and then once that's all said and done, then the Lord is gonna come back. Even if they got everybody checked, the Lord is still gonna come back and do what he gotta do in setting up the real kingdom, which will be the everlasting kingdom, which they're trying to allow, which they're trying to do in this one. They're trying to make this world an everlasting kingdom, but only for themselves. So let's get what I called for.
This is Job 14 and 5.
Yeah.
Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee.
Yeah.
Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
Right. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So there's a level of time that they have to rule. They came on the scene, and they were situated around the late 1700s, and they've been ruling ever since, because prior before the 1700s, Esau was on the come up. They had to fight, they had to enslave people such as our forefathers and that. And that's how they were able to, be situated around the 18th century. Okay? So when you really look at the amount of time Esau's been ruling for, we're talking about probably under 250 years, maximum. Okay? So like I said, once they reach that time period, that level of time is done, it's finished. Then the missiles are going to drop, and then the Lord is going to come back, and this society is done. End of story, man. Go on, brother, let's read this.
This is Job 5 verse 13. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong.
Right, the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. I looked up the word headlong. The word is this. I don't know the Hebrew word. I forgot the Hebrew word. But the word goes back to panic. So right now they're panicking. Going back to the book of Job, what is it, 20 and 22, I believe it is. Let's read that.
This is Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits.
Yep.
Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him.
Go on.
When he is about to fill his belly,
when he is about to fill his belly, go on.
The Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him.
Right.
He shall rain it upon him while he's eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon. And the bolt of steel shall strike him through.
And there's some more on that, go on.
It is drawn and cometh out of the body.
What we do, go up to verse, where it says, they shall not find quietness in their belly. If you can give me that verse, I believe that's in verse 18 or something like that. He shall not feel quietness in his belly.
Yeah.
Got it, verse 20. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly.
Yeah, and I looked up that word as well, meaning it's not going to be easy for them to pretty much get their one world system in going, which is their enterprise. As we just read, that the Lord disappointed the crafty. Okay? And their counsel will be carried headlong, meaning they're going to be panicking. And why would they be panicking? Because people are waking up to what's going on. People are seeing the bullshit that's going on with these devils at the very top. And that's what it is. People are protesting every single week. Okay? And it's just from country to country. All right? So it's not going to be an easy thing. But when they really get to that point of feeling that they've accomplished their plan and their agenda, then the sudden destruction cometh, even upon the elite. You see? So that's how it goes, man. That's how it's going down from that particular point. Go on, brother.
Back in Job 5 and 13.
Yeah.
He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong.
Mm-hmm.
They meet with darkness in the daytime.
Right, they meet with darkness in the daytime. They get together in these secretive councils. You have the Council of Foreign Relations, you have the Bilderberg meetings, and all of these different secretive councils, and they discuss what the agenda is in 10 years' time, or the agendas of what's to come, or what they're going to be doing, in 20 years' time, or maybe in 5 years' time. All right? And guess what? What we're doing right now wasn't a part of their agenda. So if there's things that we're doing that's not a part of their agenda, then there's other things that's happening that's not a part of their agenda. So now we have to come to the conclusion, well, eventually we have to just say that there's a higher power. Okay, there's a higher power that he also has agendas too. You know? So there you have it, man. Go on, brother. Let's read this.
Do you want me to read that again, or I've got another precept?
Go and get another precept.
Right. This is Obadiah 1 and 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahawah.
Yeah, because they've already when they claim or declare that they went to the moon, that's when economically America started going down, and moralistically it started going down. All right, people, and then you had around that time you had the hippie movement. I think it was Apollo. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was Apollo 13.
Yeah.
It was Apollo 13, and it was basically a Hollywood-produced film when they said, "Oh well, we made it to the moon," yada yada yada, giving it loads, and people started to believe it and that kind of sort of thing. But now we're in the age of the technology side of things, the age of the internet. Let me use that term. People are finding out that what they once believed in is actually a lie. It's been a lie all along. So if that's been a lie, then what else lies have they been telling? And that's another reason as to why the scripture says what it says in the book of Job 20. They would not find it would not be an easy thing for them to further the enterprise, because people have researched and found out what they once believed is a lie. So if that's the case, how much more lies have been told? You see, and then they're watching us for information as well. You better believe Esau's watching us, man. Normal Edomites and also these top-level Edomites, they're watching us. Go on, brother.
This is Genesis 1 verse 16. And the Most High made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night.
Right.
Now, as we know, the moon is a light source. So if they went to the moon, why were they not blinded by the light?
Well, see, well, this is it. And when you really think about it, there's a lot of radiation. I believe it's above the Van Allen belt. Really, that Van Allen belt is the radiation. So you couldn't cross before that radiation. It's impossible. Okay, we're talking about a major amount of weight of radiation concerning that Van Allen belt. So they couldn't have never made it to the moon. That was a lie. That was a lie that was told, and it was found out that that's the case. It was a lie. All right, and like the brother said, if they made it up to the moon, how come they didn't get? How come they should have been blinded, man? Okay, because that's a great light. That moon has a great level of light upon it, and if you go closer to it, you can blind your eyes, man. Go on, brother. So it's a joke.
Yeah, once again, Genesis 1 and 16. And the Most High made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night.
Right.
And he made the stars also. The Most High set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And the Most High saw that it was good.
Yeah. So there's no way in hell that Esau could have ever achieved that kind of thing, man. Going up to the moon, going up to Mars. Now they thinking about going up to a different planet now. But if you couldn't make it up to the moon in '69, how the hell are you going to make it to another planet now? And they still don't have the technology to do that. Because really, what they want to do, like I said, they want to establish the kingdom on earth. In this civilization, they want this civilization to be the kingdom. But that's for the saints. It says in the book of John 14, I believe it is, that the Lord have made there's many mansions out there in the midst. And if there wasn't, I wouldn't have told you as such. I believe it's John 14.
John 14 and 2.
And 1, I believe.
Okay.
So that's for the saints. That's for us. We're gonna be able to attain that kind of power to go from galaxy to another realm, to a different realm, and travel to different planets and stuff. That's the blessing that we're gonna get. Go on, brother.
This is John chapter 14 verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
In my Father's house are many mansions.
Yeah.
If it were not so, I would have told you.
Yeah.
I go to prepare a place for you.
Right. So the house of the Father is in the outer space realm. That's the house of the Father. So within that house, there's many different planets. There's a lot of planets out there, and we're going to be inhabiting those bad boys. And this is why Esau, for the longest time, they've been making these films about spiritual power, like X-Men and Spider-Man, and all of these different films, and the films about the chariots, because they really idolize, they really want that kind of power. Because if they can get that kind of power, then, and it's really, they want to keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
And if they can keep it to themselves, they can have total control of the people on a higher level. They don't have to worry about people rising up against them or anything like that. They can just shut them down. But that's what they're doing with this technology. The Most High already gave them a form of power already with this technology and the guns.
Yep.
So what more do they really want? But they want our power.
Yep.
And that's why they got their people out in Israeli land calling themselves the Orthodox, members of calling themselves the Jewish people, praying day in and day night, knocking their head against the wall like they're effing the wall, right? Hoping that the Lord will have mercy upon them, and eventually they can get the blessings or they can get the birthright. That's not going to happen. We got their birthright because it was the will of the Lord.
Yeah.
It was the will of the Most High Yahawah for Hasham Yahawashi. That's all it was. So you can't undo that which is of the will of the Lord. Crazy. Go on, brother.
Where was I? John? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I go to prepare a place for you. I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am may ye also be.
Yeah, because Yahawashi is going to have power to go to these different planets, and as well as we'll be able to do the same thing. Yahawashi said that whatever I've done, you shall do in greater. So that's for the saints. That's for the Israelites, and we're the saints. All right? And they're not the saints. They wish to be the saints. They dream. They visualize of being the saints, but that's the only thing that they can do is visualize of being the saints. Go on.
This is Genesis 27 verse 40. And by thy sword thou shalt live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass that when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Yeah, and they already done it already. When during the time of I believe his name is pronounced Aharon. During the time of Chronicles, man, I believe it's in First Chronicles 21 or something like that, where you had the Edomites revolted against the kingdom of Judah. So that already took place. That already happened. So this is the thing, man, about this Bible, right? And also Moses. Moses, like that's the first book of Moses, Genesis, right?
Yeah.
So when Moses was on the scene, he had a vision of what occurred a couple of thousands of years before he came on the scene. Okay? And the prophecies that he written down, it came to pass later on during that particular point in time. During the time of what is it? First Chronicles 20 I believe it's 21. First Chronicles 21 about Aharon, and he was the king of the kingdom of Judah. So let's read that again.
This is Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. And by thy sword thou shalt live, and shalt serve thy brother. It shall come to pass that when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Yeah, so now, being that we've already established that, now let's deal with the first part. Isaac blessed him with the sword. And with the sword he shall live. Meaning, with the ability to cause destruction. That's how he's going to sway the nations in the way that he needs them to be in. He's going to sway the nations in the direction he needs them to be in. Okay? By scaring them, dropping drones on them, dropping atomic bombs on them, like they did to the city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. And that put fear in the hearts of these nations. To let them know, look, this is the kind of power we possess, and if you go out of line, then we're going to destroy you in like manner. All right? Going back to Revelations 13 and 15, that this beast, as many as would not worship the beast, would be put to death. Go on, brother.
Yeah, precept to what you just read out there concerning Isaac's Esau's blessing.
Yeah.
I'm going to read Genesis 32 and 25 says, and when he saw that he had prevailed not against him, he touched the holy of his thigh, and the hallow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob.
Yeah.
And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God, and with men hast thou prevailed.
Exactly.
Because, can I just add because the prince of the power, our power is Yahawah, Yahawashi. And I'm thinking about the superhero side of it now with Carlisle.
Yeah, Carlisle. Yeah,
Carlisle, all powerful.
Means, all power, yeah.
And Isaac's blessing is the sword.
Yep.
So when you think about Carlisle, Superman, and you think about the gadgets, Batman, because I remember years ago, I was always into all that superhero stuff, and they used to put them together like Batman versus Superman, and they would make Batman win because of his gadgets, right? But in reality, Superman, if you took away all his gadgets, Batman's gadgets, Superman would beat him hands down because he's all powerful and he doesn't need gadgets. But they say that Batman is a picture of perfection, human perfection. He represents man on earth. But Kal-El represents a so-called alien, which is extraterrestrial, which is that's our blessing. So we have the power. The blessing that we have is all powerful. Yeah. Sons of the living God, man. And they have their little gadgets, which they do have their gadgets. As you said, their blessing is a sword.
Exactly. Like, for example, even the chip is one of their gadgets. And the ultimate gadget is the gun. So that's what they need to uphold themselves. But we don't need all of that. We have spiritual power. And we've been given a portion of spiritual power by knowing this ministry. Right. It takes a level of spiritual power to interpret the scriptures. And the spiritual power that we have is comes of the Holy Spirit. So if we good on this, then there's other forms of spiritual power that the Lord is going to reveal unto us and put into brothers as well in due time. So that's the blessing of Jacob. With power thou shalt prevail. I'm roughly paraphrasing what you just read. All right, go on, brother.
Verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. Yeah. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Yeah, and that's what they did. When Esau got the upper hand during the time of the ancient Roman Empire and this empire, man, that's all that was going on back in the ancient Roman Empire and this empire. Slaying Jake all around. Because Jake was resistant against the powers of ancient Rome. And that's why the Apostle Paul told the ones of his people during in the book of Romans 13, that the powers that are is of the Most High. Because you had a lot of Jakes that was trying to resist against the Roman system. Okay? And that's why the incident with 70 AD happened. The incident of 70 AD happened when the Israelites were stuck in Israel and besieged them in that land. And then you had, a reasonable portion of them, 1 million of them, that fled out of that land. But the ones that stayed in died, basically. Go on, brother.
Joel 3 verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink.
Yeah.
And what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon?
Yeah, because during the transatlantic slave trade, what you had the Hamites, you had the Arabs, and Esau was involved in that, beginning with the so-called Jews. They were very heavily well involved in our slavery, and they gained so much of it financially. And they were literally trading, They were trading our people with wine, and they would send the Hamites watered down wine each and every time. You know, that's how they would basically trade us, or it could be powder or whatever it is, whatever resources they had at the time. They would trade us for those resources. You know, so they actually did that. So this is why. As Joel explains further down the line, this is why Esau is going to use his sword, and the other nations are going to get access to his level of sword, and by that sword he shall be destroyed. Like it says in like what Yahawashi told Peter. Okay, he that liveth by the sword shall die by the sword, and that applies to Esau. Esau would die by the sword. With the same sword that he used to maintain his power, is the same sword that's going to kick his ass out of power. In a very big way. Go on, brother.
Continues, it says, yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon?
Yeah, that's some Hamites. Go on.
And all the coasts of Palestine.
Yeah.
Will ye render me a recompense?
And who dwell in Palestine? The Philistines. That's why it's known as Palestine today, from the word Philistine. Go on.
And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Come on.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold.
Yeah.
And have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant
things. And that's
things.
what they did. They took the menorah. They took all of the resources that we had as a people in Jerusalem, and other things as well during the different ages. Even while we were down here in Europe, when they conquered us down here in Europe, they took a lot of our resources, and they got it stored in their vaults. So the Lord is going to judge them according to what they've done, and they're going to be spoiled. That's pursuant to Ezekiel 39. So the soul that they were blessed with is going to lead them down the road of going into captivity. The ones of them that remain alive, check that out. With the sword, that was supposed to be their protector and their comforter. But that same weapon is going to lead them to be destroyed and then go into slavery. That's some serious shit from the wires. Go on, brother.
Yeah.
Joel 3 verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
Have ye sold unto the Grecians. Now when you look up that word Grecians, the word Grecian there is Japheth. No part of history shows that we were sold to the people of Japheth, which happened to be the Samoan Islanders today. That never happened. But what it's talking about Edomites.
Yeah, shalom.
And they later called themselves the Greeks anyway. Go on.
And you have sold them unto the Grecians that you might remove them far from their border.
You might remove them far from their border, because not only did we get taken as slaves from West Africa and Europe, but furtherly we were removed far away from our border. What is our border? Our border is Israel, the land of Israel, and then they stepped in the land of Israel, and now they're claiming it for themselves. During the time of 1948, as they have declared, that was a fulfillment of prophecy. But think about it, that was a fulfillment of prophecy. Would the Messiah be involved in that? Would the Messiah be involved in returning the nation of Israel back to that land? And it doesn't say in prophecy that the Lord is going to establish a